Hello everyone and welcome to today's Terraria video. Today we'll be building another NPC house. This time it's the Golfer. Last episode we threw him into the
Shimernator Type 6.
So we could get the Shimmered variant. That's supposed to look like a fox, but definitely it looks more like an aardvark. I think only British people will get that reference. So why did we go to all the effort of constructing the Shimernator just to make the Golfer look like a fox? Well, as you all know, we don't just build regular box houses here. It has to be something unique. So a thought came over me. Foxes live in dens, which are holes in the ground. The Golfer is a fox, and golfers hit balls into holes in the ground. So what if the Golfer fox lived in a hole in the ground? In a golf hole in the ground? So I start by building a little mound and then begin building a tree on top next to the golf hole. Now, I'm not the best at trees. These are some of my earlier builds that involve trees, so you can decide for yourself. But in my opinion, I've never been particularly good at them, so I did get in a little bit of practice. I watched some tutorials, particularly from Gandalf Hardcore. He has a lot of great tree designs, and now I think I'm definitely a lot better at trees. There was one tree design he did in particular that I really loved, so I'm going to try and emulate that as much as possible. So I begin by building up the trunk using both living wood and mahogany living wood for texture.
It's me, Guppy the Gallant, and I'm interrupting this video to bring you today's piece of Terraria trivia. Did you know that when the angler is shimmered, he turns into a kappa? A creature of Japanese mythology, but not one you'd ever want to run into. For the kappa makes a habit of tearing people's souls from their anus. Yes, you heard me right. The ancient Japanese believed that the soul was contained in a special organ called the shirikodama. This organ was located in your, well, you know.
And we have Blood Moon number 1. And now I'm just going to create the perimeter of the leaves of the tree using living leaf wall. And then I'm going to add in the leaves themselves, making sure to leave spaces where I can later place strange plants or blueberry bushes. And I'm also going to add in some branches with the leaves as well, because when you look at a tree in real life, you can also see the branches, it's not just a bunch of leaves. And now I'm going to add in these strange plants and the blueberry bushes painted cyan. So this adds quite a lot of detail to the tree itself, but it also gives the tree a little bit of movement because the plants and bushes will sway in the wind. And now I'm just going to add in some roots protruding from the ground, making sure to shape them with the hammer. And I'm going to carry these down into the Golfer's fox den later on as well. Now I'm adding in a beehive. Now of course there are already beehives in the game, but in my opinion hive blocks just look a lot better. Now it's time to add in some green mushrooms painted red. I really want a whimsical vibe here, kind of similar to the wind in the willows. And we have our second blood moon. And now I'm just going to place a few bushes down, again using living leaf walls. And whilst I was waiting out the blood moon, I came up with this idea. We can animate our bee nest a little bit. Since poo blocks create the fly's particle effect above them, we can just place a few below the nest and then paint them with echo coating to make them invisible. And just like that, our bee nest has bees. Now I'm going to begin to dig out the area where we'll actually build the golfer's den itself. But of course, we are interrupted by our third blood moon. Now I'm texturing up the walls with wood walls and ebon wood walls painted brown. I want it to look like there are patchwork wooden plank walls holding back the soil, preventing the place from caving in. The kind of thing you'd see in a mine. And then later on I'm going to add in some support beams as well. And I felt like the green grass was a little bit out of place down here, so I am going to paint that brown. You can see I have brought down the roots from the tree into the den, but I do want even more root action, so I am going to add in some ashwood lanterns painted brown because they very much look like roots. In fact, the entire ashwood furniture set is very root-like, but I don't want them to actually emit light, so I'm just going to wire them all up to a switch and turn them off. Now for the bed area. So I imagine foxes sleep on dead grass and bits of straw and things like that inside their dens in real life. So I'm just going to cover the floor with hay to emulate that. And now for the fireplace. Naturally, we will need a chimney system to channel the smoke outside of the den. Otherwise, the golfer would die from CO2 poisoning. Now we need a way to actually get down, so I place a bunch of platforms, and then I remember you can now actually place rope behind platforms, so I decide to make a little rope ladder. And I want this little area here to be where the golfer stores all of his golf stuff, like his trophies, his clubs, etc. So I'm going to add in a little display case here by putting a workbench down and then some hammered glass on top. And we have blood moon number 4. And now I'm just going to place a bunch of furniture around, using mainly ashwood furniture for its root-like aesthetic, and also living wood furniture mainly because of how whimsical it looks. And now the golfer needs somewhere to, to go, so I'm going to add such a place in for him now. And I've added some tea and teapots, again just to add to the whimsical vibe. And now I'm going to add in some hanging meat in the little kitchen area. Now I am going to use flesh blocks for this, and the problem is with flesh blocks is that they also include things like eyeballs, bones, bits of tongue, so they can be quite hard to use. Another issue with them as well is they actually change the sprites when the area is reloaded. So for example, you can place a flesh block down and it will look like a piece of flesh. You'll leave the area, you'll come back, and now it's an eyeball or a piece of tongue or something like that. There is kind of a way to sort of circumvent that issue though. So what you do is you simply just paint the flesh blocks deep red, and then irregardless of what sprite they end up choosing to be, they will always look kind of like flesh or meat blocks, which is, I imagine, what most people will want to use them for. And now I'm just going to change the entrance up to make it into an actually functional golf hole. So I'm just going to place some dirt down and then some actuators. And the idea is we should be able to activate these dirt blocks, push them into the background with the actuators, and then we can actually get down the hole. I add in a golf cup and place a golf pin, and now it's time to test whether or not this is actually a functional golf hole. And look at that, hole in one, first try, definitely first try, easy mode, easy. And now it's time for the final tour. So as you can see, the golfer has moved in, but he is currently on the toilet, so give him some privacy, yeah? And here is the final result. I really like how this one came together, love how whimsical it is. And the next NPC house I'll be building will either be the nurse or the princess, so let me know down below in the comments which one you prefer to see first. And if you liked the vid, please consider commenting, subscribing, liking, all that kind of stuff. And apart from that, thank you very much for watching and have a wonderful day.